My name is Kwabena Boahen. I work at Stanford. I teach and do research in the Bioengineering department. I'm interested in understanding how the brain works. It's a question that has fascinated me ever since I was a teenager. So I was basically born in Ghana. I grew up there. I grew up actually on a university campus. My dad was a professor of history. And all that, I had a knack of building things and taking things apart and breaking them, but my parents didn't, discourage me. I was able to follow my passion, and I was able to really learn a lot just by doing stuff like that on my own. And more importantly, maintaining my curiosity about science and about how things worked. And so I ended up at Hopkins with my undergrad in electrical engineering and electrical and computer engineering. And while I was a sophomore, I found out about neural networks, which were kind of just getting a lot of attention and press. I got excited about that because it seemed much more elegant to me than a computer, because you didn't have to program these networks. You showed them examples, and they learn from examples. So I learned about chip design while I was an undergrad. I designed my first chip to actually implement an abstract model of how memory works in the brain. And it didn't work so great, so that got me even more interested in how the brain actually does that. Then I ended up going to graduate school at Caltech, studying in the CNS program, Computation and Neural Systems. And that's when I really sort of tried to learn about neurobiology and integrate that with my training in engineering to really come up with new ways of computing. You can actually help people with disabilities and so forth. If some part of the brain is damaged, eventually you would like to be able to replace it, or maybe be able to record those signals and then decode the information or the intention of the person, and then perform that action the person wants to do. If they are paralyzed and they are trying to reach for a cup and drink water, you can have a robot arm do that for them. Understanding the brain is a really big challenge because it involves a lot of different disciplines. There's math, there's physics, there's computer science, there's the actual biology or physiology and anatomy. There's engineering. Fields like physics and engineering, the way I describe them is that they are vertically integrated, right? If I wanted to become a string theorist, I got to have to basically study mathematics for 20 years, right? If I want to be an engineer, but you need 12 years of math. Where there's other fields like biology, which are horizontally integrated. In other words, they are very broad. They cover a lot of areas. But if you pick a specific area, you don't have to understand what all those other areas are doing to understand it. If you want to transition to these fields, you should be prepared to really do a lot of hard work, and it's doing a lot of homework problems, and people can't teach you this stuff. You do all that homework and really get it in your brain to start thinking in that way. And it's good if you know what to expect, because I think then you're going to be discouraged. Yes, there's a trend these days where everybody's trying to get into coding. It's very interesting because I don't think there's any other career where the range of productivity is so huge. A colleague of mine in computer science teaches a programming class, and he gives the kids an assignment where they're supposed to code up some, I think it's some graphics problem. They time how long people's programs take to execute. And there's a factor of 1,000 difference, right? Some guys' programs is going to take, milliseconds, fractions, very small fractions of a second, where others people's programs are going to go for seconds, right? So there's a difference between knowing how to code and knowing how to code. Okay, you shouldn't take coding lightly. You can get into it very easily. You can write some code, but really learning how to code, that's a whole career. It's a profession. Okay. In terms of kind of just last thoughts, I think that it's all up to you. Really. I think it's up to you to follow your passion. It's up to you to view any challenges you run into as an opportunity. It's up to you to basically keep banging your head until you get it right, and don't be really proud of that. Don't allow anybody to help you. And if you figure it out, it's 10 times better than somebody else figuring it out. because then you can figure out the next thing even easier, right? So you see these guys who can figure out things quickly, it's because they built up that experience. They've tackled a lot of these problems, and so then it becomes easy. It's just like riding a bike. It's like weightlifting. Any of these things, you just have to really want to do it because you're passionate about it, and that's all that it takes. I think we should have a lot more confidence in our kids. They know what they're trying to do. They have the drive, they have the passion. Every kid is born with that. And I think we should let them explore and follow what they are excited about.